Hey guys, in the last episode of this anime, we saw that Setsu and Ruri were on top of Levia, heading towards the demon continent. Today, we'll see the continuation of this story and find out what's happening to have triggered this war. But before we start, go ahead and do that usual ritual of liking and subscribing if you haven't already, okay? Let's get to the recap. Today's video starts with an amazing fight between Levia and a kraken. Levia becomes desperate and asks for Setsu's help. After she wins, Levia takes her human form and comes to Setsu and Ruri. He introduces her to Ruri, says her name is Levia, and she's the goddess of the sea and his friend. After that, Levia gets angry and asks him why he didn't help her. He responds that he knew she could handle it, and besides, a fight between kaijus is really fun to watch. After that, they wonder what to do with that giant squid since they can't just leave it there. Setsu then has an idea. He decides to make squid rings, which everyone finds delicious. While they're eating, some demon children arrive, and Setsu offers them some squid rings. They eat them and find them delicious, asking him to make some for their parents too. Their parents accept, and they start taking the giant kraken to the fisherman village. Before they arrive, the anime shows us the village people complaining that thanks to that giant squid, they can't fish, and their supplies are running out. One of them gets agitated and says they'll have to gather all the fishermen to deal with that squid once and for all. And at that moment, Setsu appears and asks where he can put that giant squid, obviously shocking everyone. Afterwards, they have a big party to celebrate, and Levia is hailed as the goddess of the sea. Meanwhile, Setsu and Ruri are responsible for frying and selling the squid rings. After this, a demon who is the head of the Demon King's guard watches the village from afar, and because all the lights are on, he thinks they've been attacked, and their houses set on fire. He hurries there. After that, Ruri asks Levia how she met Setsu. She tells that 5 years ago, Setsu tried to cross her sea without permission. She decided to fight him, but she lost, and he forced her to work with him to bring peace and end the war. At that moment, Ruri discovers that Setsu is the legendary hero who saved the world 5 years ago, and she had no idea that he was the one she tried to hire as a guard and becomes desperate. Afterwards, Vlad, that demon we saw earlier, arrives in the village and yells that he won't let the humans do as they please. But at that moment, he realizes there's no human attack at all, they're just having a party. After that, they go near the sea and start talking. Vlad comes and apologizes to Levia for his earlier behavior and is surprised to see her in her human form in the city. After that, Setsu appears and greets Vlad, who is surprised to see the hero Setsu return. Even though his face and body look different, he recognizes him. Setsu asks why the Demon King's right-hand man distanced himself from her. Vlad explains that he was searching for Levia and never imagined she would be with the missing hero. Then he bows to Setsu and Levia and begs them to save Demon King Dezes. Afterward, he explains that Demon King Dezes was proposed to by a big merchant named Turan. He explains that the merchant offered his funds and riches to end the war, and in return, Demon King Dezes would serve him, and he has a collar with a binding spell for that. If she accepts, he supposedly would end the war, but Demon King Dezes would be his slave forever. He says the war started a month ago when humans invaded, which is strange because exactly a month ago, those armored soldiers also invaded the human kingdom with the Demon Kingdom's flag. And just as they did there, they did it here in the Demon Kingdom, hoisting the flag of Destinia, the human kingdom. Setsu at this moment begins to understand what's going on. Apparently, someone is plotting to make humans and demons go to war again. After that, Setsu calls Levia to save Demon King Dezes. They enter the forest and hurry towards the Demon King's castle. On the way, they encounter some monsters that they easily defeat. At this moment, we see a bit more of Levia's power in her human form. Levia asks Setsu what his plan is when they get there. He responds that he'll simply arrive and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, so go ahead and do that too. Actually, he's planning to arrive and put an end to everything and save Dezes. And he says it's very strange that right now, just before a war is about to break out, neither side has started it, and a suspicious guy comes to sell peace, bringing a strong cursed collar that even affects the Demon Queen. They continue towards the castle. Afterward, we see a little more of Dezes' life until now. She says that she always fought to defend her people, until one day during the war against the demon, she was defeated by Setsu, who extended his hand to her and proposed that they stop fighting and live in peace. As a symbol of reconciliation between humans and demons, he gave an amulet to Dezes. After some time, Setsu disappeared, and Deza's thought in her thoughts that even if he never appeared again, she would keep the promise of living in peace that she made with him. Until one day, strangely, the amulet that Setsu gave her broke. And Vlad says he would take it to a famous craftsman in Destinia, and he could fix it. This craftsman happens to be Ruri's grandfather, and you already know what ornament it is. After that, it shows the day when the supposed army of humans attacked the demons. Deza sends 2 emissaries to Destinia to find out what's happening. Soon after, the merchant Turan arrives and proposes marriage to Deza's. The demons are obviously indignant, but Deza's, to keep the promise she made with Setsu, considers really marrying the tricky merchant to maintain peace. Deza's thinks a lot, but always remembers Setsu's promise and doesn't see any other way to keep the promise except marrying the scoundrel merchant. She starts to cry, remembering that Setsu used to say that black suited her, and now she will be forced to wear a white dress. After that, it shows Turan talking to a hooded man. And at that moment, we discover that there is really a mastermind behind all this, but we are not shown who this person is yet. Now, we return to the wedding day, and everyone is in position. The humans are happy, and the demons are obviously indignant. Deza's appears in her wedding dress, with an unhappy expression. She walks slowly to the altar. After arriving, the priest begins announcing the wedding, and he says they can exchange their vows. At this moment, Turan takes out the collar with the binding curse and says that thanks to this marriage, he will bring about world peace. And in return, he asks to become the new demon king. He moves to put the collar on Deza's and asks her to swear eternal love to him. At this moment, she remembers Setsu again but decides to accept her cruel destiny in exchange for her people's peace. But before the scoundrel could put the collar around her neck, a huge explosion happens above the church, and then Setsu appears, saying he came to save the princess. In the distance, Vlad and Ruri watch the explosion and say that Setsu is really extravagant and hurry to arrive there. We return to the church, and Turan's henchmen attack Setsu, but Livia deals with them one by one easily. After that, she comments to Deza's that she really doesn't look good in white. At this moment, that hooded guy who was talking to Turan earlier appears and casts a shadow spell on Livia, paralyzing. Then, he launches several attacks against the sea goddess. However, before they could hit her, Setsu intervenes and saves the girl. The hooded creep doesn't understand anything, and Setsu appears behind him and gives him a punch. He gets up and says he didn't expect hero Setsu to appear and mentions that this is something important that he has to report to his boss. He launches an attack at Setsu, who catches it with his bare hands and counters. The hooded guy realizes he has no chance and runs off to report to his supposed boss. After that, Deza's comes and hugs Setsu. She says she missed him a lot, and Setsu says he's happy that she's okay. Afterwards, the guys they defeated are consumed by curses, and Setsu examines the collar that Turan wanted to put on Deza's. He realizes that the mastermind behind all this is Toma, his old enemy from 5 years ago. Setsu says that now that he knows who the enemy is, he will go to Regulos, the kingdom of the beast people. Deza's says that having their help would be good. After that, Ruri and Vlad arrive, and the demon is sad to see the state the hall is in. Then Ruri gives Setsu the ornament, and he hands it back to Deza's, leaving the demon queen very happy. After that, they say goodbye, and Deza's says she wanted to go with them, but under the current circumstances, it's not possible. Setsu thanks her and says that when peace returns, he will take her for a spin anytime she wants. And she is happy with that. Obviously, she has a crush on Setsu, it's just that some people don't see it. Afterwards, Ruri reveals that Deza's allowed her to open a shop there, and she plans to follow in her grandfather's footsteps and become a great craftsman. Vlad thanks Setsu for saving his queen, and they say goodbye. And Setsu and Livia head towards the kingdom of the beast people. And that's how today's video ends. Tell me what you thought in the comments. Also, please subscribe and like the video so you don't miss any more content on this channel. And finally, just for those who stayed until the end, I've put an amazing video on the final screen. It tells the story of Haruto, a boy who was discarded and reincarnated into a world of fantasy and magic. He was incredibly lucky to be born into the royal family, but his parents thought he was a weakling and abandoned him in the forest. Check it out, it's amazing, okay? Until next time, bye.